Live from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
Well, we're not good enough, Pete, to think we can show up and roll over people. We know that we have struggled a lot this year, and we've got to really play our best if we're going to give ourselves a chance to win.
It's football, bad things happen, so I just got to keep going, staying with the team. I got a great group of guys behind me that are with me and just kind of just staying with me and make sure that I have the right level head, and I do, and we're just going to get the team better.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Sports Talk South Carolina Radio Network here on a Wednesday night. It is so good to have you with us wherever you happen to be around the great state of South Carolina. Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, the professor, Tom Hayes, all together coming to you from our location on Main Street, downtown Columbia for Sports Talk, the Sports Talk show of Main Street, South Carolina. 800-956-7266 is our phone number. We'll take your calls early on this evening, so go ahead and grab a line, 800-956-7266. So, as if Tiger fans don't have enough to worry about, guys, as if they don't have enough to worry about. They're concerned about Cole Stout starting. They're concerned about Deshaun Watson and his knee. They're concerned about David Beasley. They're concerned about losing 6 in a row to South Carolina. So, despite having all that to be concerned about, now comes a report from one of their insider websites stating that not only is Florida interested in Dabo Swinney as their next head coach, that he is a hot commodity on the short list, has all the characteristics that Jeremy Foley wants in the Gators' next head coach.
Including age.
Everything. Age, looks, values, NCAA enforcement record, which is clean, academic record, which is very good, record on the field, which is excellent.
But here's my
Recruiting
question.
in Florida, which is top-notch.
But Jeremy Foley said the fans want an offensive-minded coach. They want to get somebody with an offensive background. Is that what we consider Dabo Swinney, an offensive-minded
I
coach?
consider his staff, which means Chad Morris, if he brings him with him.
That's the thing about Dabo. He doesn't have an offense or defense of his own that he can hang his hat on. What he can hang his hat on is looking over everything and
bringing
also
in a
recruiting.
good staff. Yeah, and he recruited a good staff, not just players, but he's got a top-notch staff there. at Clemson
Managing
that he put
a
together.
program and managing a team, he's been very, very good at. But, if you turn to Dabo Swinney and said, you create and you run the offense yourself, could he do that? Or you create and you run the defense yourself. Could he do that? And are there many college head coaches in the country who got to that position without having run an offense or a defense themselves?
I couldn't tell you. I think that article may have an ATM machine attached to it, too.
Well, it would cost Florida $3 million to buy him out of his Clemson
just to get him to walk through the door. Yeah.
800-956-7266 is our phone number. Coming up, we'll hear from some of the Gamecocks who are just coming off the practice field. Mike Davis talking about his future. Will he be back next year?
No.
Probably not. But he didn't say that.
Well, nobody ever says it when there's 2 games left.
I think Clowney said it. I think it was well known.
It was well known.
You well know,
I think he
especially
pretty
when
much said it.
the day he committed, you knew he was going to be there 3 years.
Davis did say something like, I've enjoyed being with these guys the last 3 years. He kind of sounded like he might have his mind made up. We'll let you hear from him coming up.
He's doing senior day on Saturday.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good indication.
Kenny Miles did that, but he came back.
Yeah, a couple times.
Not a complete indication. Brandon Shell and Brandon Wiles are
not going to do the senior day, which
day.
Is, I guess, better news than if they were.
See, Brandon Shell's plan when he came to South Carolina was
3 years,
red shirt a year, 3 years, and then go to the league. But he may be interested in coming back. Maybe he feels like he still needs more development as an offensive lineman. That would be a major bonus for South Carolina, considering they're going to lose A.J. Cann at left guard, and they're going to lose their left tackle and Corey Robinson. To come back, that'd be a big bonus for them.
Offensive line is a strange position. Remember, we talked about it earlier about Corey Robinson coming in, I think, as a defensive tackle. And then suddenly they were desperate for somebody and stuck him in there and said, wait a minute, you know what? This works. It's almost like you plugged in I guess you could say something into the electrical board to make it work, and it turned out. So you never know. But, yeah, that would be a plus to have him back, because some of these guys need work on speed rushers, because they've been burned, if anything, by speed rushers this year.
All right, 800-956-7266. We can jump back into the conversation regarding USC Clemson upcoming, the quarterback situation at Clemson, and this story from the Tiger Insider. That's a Clemson fan base site, and they do pretty good work, and they have their strong Clemson sources. And they say they spoke to 2 of their sources yesterday, and Sweeney's name is picking up a lot of steam in Florida. And they say his name is being received positively from some of the big donors at Florida. And they write that we believe Dabo is now in the top group of candidates for the position. Our source tells us that Dabo meets exactly what Jeremy Foley is looking for in his next head coach: high integrity and character, a coach who has a track record of success on the offensive side of the ball. A source told it's actually the Clemson Insider. I call him the Tiger Insider.
Yeah. The Clemson TI.
TCI, my bad. The Tiger Insider, I'm sorry, the Clemson Insider.
Very hard for you to get this straight.
Several weeks ago that Foley's been very impressed with Sweeney's success on the recruiting trail in Florida. And they're also writing that Foley's looking for a coach that can be a good face for and he's looking for a good family man that can create a family environment.
Is anybody looking for a bad family man as their coach? I guess Louisville.
Anybody looking for an axe-murderer to be their head
it's like
coach?
We want just a real scumbag guy that doesn't have any principles, a lot of NCAA baggage, offensive scheme whatsoever, bad at defense.
So they go on to say their sources told them that Dabo meets all the requirements and is now in the top group. We understand, they write, the fact that Dabo could be available to move into the job quickly is also a plus. It says here, Sweeney, unlike some other high-profile candidates, will not be playing in a championship game this season. Florida wants to have their new coach in place by mid-December than Christmas. And it says here that Sweeney is aware of the interest from Florida, and the same source tells TCI there is intrigue with the possibility. So they're saying here that their sources are saying Sweeney is interested in the Florida job. Now it says here he must decide if he has enough interest in the job to have discussions or if he wants to shut things down quickly. So there you go. That's being written by the TCI.
Is there a hill to run down
the Clemson
in the swamp?
Insider.
Yeah.
No, you run up a hill to get away from the low line. Because, see, Florida Field is built down low, so you run uphill.
Well, see, that's what I'm saying. I sincerely think, he's the PR. He's a PR guy, but I sincerely believe Dabo likes the uniqueness of Clemson. it's a major institution, but it's tucked away from a lot of things that normally are driving institutions, like being in a town. The media is friendly to him. There's a lot of control as far as the message is concerned. So it's a special place for Dabo. I think it would be a difficult move for him if he thinks about it.
I mean, really, what does he gain by going from Clemson to Florida, unless he just wants to get back into the SEC where he played? But, you know, and I'm not surprised that his name's coming up. I don't know that, you know, how serious Florida could possibly be at this point about any group of candidates, but he is definitely in that potential candidates that you would have to throw out there when jobs open up because of what he's done at Clemson. I still don't know that he's an offensive-minded coach. I don't know that I'd put him in that category.
Well, I mean, they look at his teams in recent years and they see the numbers that they have produced. They know that Chad Morris is the offensive coordinator, but the credit goes to the head coach.
Are we going to make Gene Chizik an offensive-minded coach now because of what he did at Auburn when they won the national championship with that offense? Is Gene Chizik now an offensive guru?
I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just telling you, you know.
And that's not a knock on Dabo. I mean, it's credit to Chad Morris.
It says, you know, 11 wins.
The head coach gets the credit for the wins.
40 points per game and 510 yards per game. And I think Dabo would tell you that even though, you know what he has said, that it's not Chad Morris's offense. It's
Clemson's offense. Yes, and Chad Morris.
And if you watch.
And Dabo Dabo took a risk when he hired Chad Morris because he had whiffed when he promoted Billy Napier, and it just didn't work out. And he went out and brought in a guy that was a high school coach just a few years earlier and had only done it at Tulsa, and he saw something there and made Chad Morris. I mean, he brought in Brent Venables. He's done a heck of a job, a great staff, and I think he could do that if he went to Florida or anywhere.
Yeah, no question about it. He put together a great staff. And you know, I don't think this is anything that should be poo-pooed. I think Dabo Swinney leave Clemson. We are talking about Florida. I mean, we are talking about not only one of the historically in recent years best football programs in the country, but Florida's a top-notch school academically as well.
Largest, I think it has the most separate colleges of any major university in the South. We're talking about 50,000 students.
Yeah, I mean, it's huge. And who knows? I don't know what makes his clock tick. Maybe there is some urge to go back into the SEC at some point in time and take on the best in college football week in and week out. Maybe that's something that definitely intrigues him, but we don't know. Now, he's meeting with the media right about now, and I feel certain that somebody's going to ask him.
Well, we'll see. He is meeting with the media. See some tweets coming out. David Beasley wants to play this weekend. Looks like he might, but I don't think Dabo Swinney's going to go to Florida. That's my prediction.
Yeah, well, again, it will cost Florida $3 million. But I guess in Florida's case, you say, you know, money's not an issue. They'll pay whatever it takes to get the guy that they want. We'll hear from Dabo later once he finishes up with the media and we get that audio.
Another Deshaun Watson update.
And what is that?
It'll be coming. Oh, yeah, he did. I'm waiting for it to open up here on the Clemson Insider. We're all about the Clemson Insider. Dabo just said that Watson is using the treadmill and doing some underwater running work with his knee. He's playing on game day against South Carolina. I don't think there's any doubt. Well, that's the one question. I think that's what we probably need to start focusing on. What level will he be at? What percentage will he be at? Will he be able to do everything? Will they be able to run the offense the same way?
Here's your Clemson. You're Chad Morris. You're game planning for South Carolina with your quarterback. Now, you know, you game plan with your starting quarterback in mind. He's coming off a pretty lucky but still serious knee injury. Fortunate it wasn't worse. He takes a hit on that knee, can't go. All the work you've put in with him running with the ones, you're right back where you were versus Georgia Tech when you had to throw in an ill-prepared and damaged Cole Stout who didn't work with the ones during the week, and it showed.
Which is why I think the rule of hitting above the waist is ludicrous.
right, coming up, we'll have the M&M boys with us here on Sports Talk. We've also got the preseason rankings and players for the boys and girls for the upcoming high school basketball season, the top ranked boys and girls players across the state and the teams as well. We'll give you that coming up just a little bit. We'll have recruiting for you as well. Coastal Carolina quarterback Alex Ross will be with us in the next hour, and we'll hear from Gamecocks and Tigers as well as we move on through the show. We go to your calls, 800-956-7260. We interrupt the natural flow of the program to welcome in the de facto mayor of the city of Charleston, the bad boy by the bay, the ninja of the night, the pontiff of the port city, and the unofficial assistant coach to Frank Martin at this week's Charleston Classic in Charleston. He'll be sitting next to Coach Martin to hand him cups of water
Better tell him not
throughout
to
the
cuss.
games. Yeah, to make sure the profanity meter's at a low level. It's not Jim Rome, it's Jay Rome. Make it quick.
Yeah, I'll be working for the census because God knows when that guy starts, you don't know what's going to come out of his mouth next.
Well,
Possibly four-letter words.
Well, I think that perhaps he's going to reel it in a little bit this year.
Oh, yeah, right. I'll believe that when I see it. But that's not what I want to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Please tell Dabo don't take that job.
Oh, why is that?
Because the Florida media, they don't throw softballs like the media here in South Carolina. They play high and tight. High and tight, brother.
Yeah.
98 and above.
Pat Dooley,
They don't play.
hard hitter. Mike Bianchi, he doesn't get close to those coaches at Florida. Yeah.
Hey,
real hard hitters.
He and Spurrier were bunking up together on the road for crying out loud.
Those guys suck up to the coaches in Florida like any other in the bed type media that we have all over the country now, except here, of course.
Hey, you're not going to lose 5 in a row to Florida State and keep your job, okay? Good night, Phil.
Whoa. That is true. If Florida lost 5 in a row to Florida State, but then again, if they were losing that game and going to Atlanta and winning, that's what they really care about in games.
I mean, Clemson's not going to fire Dabo if they lose to South Carolina.
No,
weekends.
They're not. And Steve
Spurrier
had a losing record against Bobby Bowden in Florida State, and I don't think they built a statue for him in front of the stadium.
I think the question is, what do you do with the countdown clocks if you're Clemson?
Do you just keep them?
Do you restart them? Yeah. Do they automatically reset? Do you have to physically go in and check? Because there's a bunch of them. They're all throughout the football.
I think he used a sledgehammer on it.
I mean, seriously, what do you do?
Sledgehammer.
I don't think it's
that psychological ploy. It's a psychological ploy for his players to have them focused on South Carolina more than any other team on their schedule, I guess. I mean, there was no countdown clock for Florida State.
Well, they have a countdown clock, on those monitors all around the meeting rooms and down the hallways there, up on the screen.
They have some screens.
They do have screens that count down to your next, and
game.
It starts after the next game. But they've never had one for one opponent.
Nothing that says O-5.
No.
Kickoff this far away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're putting some emphasis on it.
All right, we'll find out what the M&M boys think of all this and more when they join us in just a moment. right, we're back. Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network from Columbia. Glad you're with us tonight. Phil Kornblut, Kevin McCray, Professor Tom Hayes, coming to you from downtown Columbia. It's that time here on a Wednesday night where we welcome in our good friends, the M&M boys, Will Merritt, former Clemson standout, Corey Miller, former USC star. Good to have the two of them with us once again. All right, Will, a lot of stuff happening up Clemson way. Deshaun Watson injury, Cole Stout struggling. Report of Dabo Swinney being high on the list at Florida. Which one you want to tackle first?
I was about to say, yeah, we have a litany of things that we could talk about tonight, but, I'll go ahead and just start in order that you spoke about them, Bill. I mean, the Deshaun Watson injury, in my opinion, is on a much more grander scale than what people realize. I've not seen a freshman be able to control the emotions and demeanor and the offense as a true freshman in that quarterback position in a very long time. And that down, it was literally like you just let the wind out of everybody's sail. The body language changed, the demeanor changed. And as much as I like Cole as a person, and I think he's done a great job in his time here at Clemson, being a good backup, he just didn't have the same capability to run the offense that Deshaun did, and it just showed. And it was unfortunate for him because I really want great things for that young man. It's just obvious that he just does not have the Coach Morris just does not have the confidence in him to run the offense the way that he does with Deshaun. And I honestly believe it comes with finishing plays. I think the offensive line, the running back, the wide receivers, they strain so much harder at the end of plays because they know Deshaun's going to keep them alive. Whereas when Cole's in there, when the play breaks down, the play's over. And I think that's the biggest difference. Number two, as far as, what's going to happen this week, Dabo is very clear that he's going to start Cole. I think there's some loyalty factor there. I think Schuessler should play. I think he will play. I think it's really, really good that this is a team that is full of seniors on defense because they're going to have to rely on them in these last two games heavily if they have a chance whatsoever against the Gamecocks. As far as Dabo being high on the list at Florida, we all anticipated that. There's no real surprise there that Dabo's high on a lot of lists because of what he's done, the passion that he brings to a program, and the fact that he can recruit, not to mention his ties in the SEC and the fact that everybody knows that, he's an Alabama boy and then came to the ACC. Do I think he's going to jump ship and go? I don't. But at the same time, it's going to be very high on the speculation radar for a lot of people. And I think that what he's done at Clemson is to be remarked on. But is it remarkable enough that he would say that he has done all he needed to do there and go and take another program in a different conference? I have no idea. It'd be sheer speculation at this point.
Mm-hmm. Will, do you think Watson's going to play? I actually was riding the elevator down from the West Zone yesterday after Dabo's press conference, and he got on the elevator and, didn't have crutches, was walking around. I know there's a difference between walking around the West Zone and playing a college football game, but what are you hearing and what do you think about his status a week from Saturday?
If I had to guess right now, and I've spoken to a couple of the coaches about this, and everybody's kind of playing that close to the vest. If I had a crystal ball, I'd say yes, he's going to play. And the reason I say that is simply the jubilation that came over hearing that it was not a torn ligament and that, the pain will subside and he can rehab it. He's got a couple of weeks to get ready. So, yeah, I think he's going to play. Do I think Dabo's going to jeopardize him at all if he's not ready? I do not. I do not think that he'll put him out there on the field knowing that potentially he could have this young man, for the next 2 seasons, potentially 3 seasons. If he, depends on how his career plays out. I don't think that they're going to put him out there and jeopardize further injury. I mean, you look at what happened with RG3, and that's what is kind of in everybody's back of their mind is a nightmare situation. So I don't think they would do it to him as an 18, 19-year-old kid. You can't take his future away from him for the sake of one ball game. Unfortunately, that one ball game is really all the Clemson fan base has to hang their hat on right now, and it's been such a thorn in their side for so long. They're just very anxious to stop this streak against the Gamecocks. But he's going to play, guys. You catch me on a Wednesday night, I'm going to tell you yes. Next Wednesday night after I talk to him and see him at practice, it could be the answer.
All right, now, Corey, the Gamecocks, after stealing one from Florida on Saturday, kind of making up for the ones that they've coughed up this year, an entirely different feeling around USC when you listen to Spurrier, you listen to the players this week. They've got a little more zip in their step, a little more hop, a little more confidence moving forward. Do you sense that because of that win down in Gainesville?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you go down to the Swamp and you win a game like they won. I mean, granted, we know Florida's not all that in a bag of chips, to be honest, but it's still for South Carolina to go win that ball game. I think only twice they've won down in the Swamp. So that's a huge game, and in the fashion in which they won it. Of course, everybody thought it was over. Florida gave them an opportunity to get back in with the block punt there, fourth quarter, and making mistakes on defense down the stretch. So, yeah, it's a great win for South Carolina. I really didn't anticipate them winning that ball game. I thought they would lose. I thought Florida had too much for the running game. The defense is really, to me, and special teams got it done. I mean, two phases of the game that's been really bad all year for the Gamecocks. Defensively, they held them to 278 yards of offense, two block kicks, and a punt and a kick block on defense. On special teams. So, it's a great win for Steve Spurrier and the Gamecocks. Now, will that build momentum going forward? I think so. You got South Alabama coming in here. They should win that game, senior day, final home game. And then, of course, like Will said, both these schools, all they have to play for is bragging rights now. Bowl games are bowl games, but it's nothing prestigious for either one. So right now, it's all about the matchup in our state. And so who can finish the strongest? That's what you got to look forward to.
Now, I noticed that there were still some breakdowns in the game, Corey, but at least what I think fans saw was if South Carolina made mistakes defensively against Florida, at least they made them at full speed. It's almost like if Florida broke off a big play, they didn't hang their head. They said they're going to stop it next time. How difficult is it to ingrain that attitude into a team that it took so long to do it?
Well, I think you got to take your hat off to Coach Ward and his staff, and I've been very hard on that staff, and rightfully so. But the fact that they did get this team ready to play, to go on the road, and to play in a tough football game in a tough environment, they play with great heart and effort. And as you said, Pro, they made mistakes, but they made them full speed. And I've seen a lot of that even this year. I think these kids play hard. They like to play the game. Just made a lot of mental errors more than anything. And they overcame it down the Swamp by playing hard. Now, one of the things I will say, just looking at the X and O's of the game, let's be honest, you play the one-dimensional Florida team that only can run the football. And so you stack the box, you take your chance on the outside, you got a quarterback in Treon Harris that is not a very accurate passer, and the South Carolina stun it, and they run stunts, and they get penetration to the backfield. And I think the biggest move by moving Scott Moore at middle linebacker, making the calls, making him your Mike, giving him that freedom to scrape fast flow to the football. Alton in there as well at the will. So I think that move was critical for the defense. I think the communication was better. They had less breakdowns. So when they're coming back out of the field and putting Deke Adams in the box may have had something to do with the defense success last Saturday in the Swamp.
All right, guys, hang on. Going to hit a quick break, and we'll come back to you in just a moment. Visiting with the M&M boys, Will Merritt from Clemson and Corey Miller from USC. We'll turn our attention to the big game. I don't want to waste any time talking about these games coming up. And when you do that, of course, that's when you end up getting upset. But we can do this. We're not coaching. We're not playing. We're analyzing, and we're looking ahead to South Carolina and Clemson. And we'll do that with the guys coming up in just a moment. And we'll get their thoughts about how things have changed in just a matter – how things changed on one afternoon, really within the matter of a couple of hours. Deshaun Watson goes down in the first quarter late of the game at Georgia Tech. Simultaneously, South Carolina is building an early lead against Florida, falls behind, and then a couple of hours later manages to pull out a win. Everything changed in about a 2-hour period there from about 12:45 to 3 o'clock on Saturday. Their thoughts on that coming up. And we're back at Sports Talk South Carolina Radio Network here on a Wednesday night. The M&M boys are with us. Will Merritt and Corey Miller coming up. We'll have some recruiting information for you here on Sport. Stay tuned for that. Also, we'll hear from some of the Gamecocks talking today. Mike Davis, Dylan Thompson, and we've got Dabo Sweeney coming up as well. Also, Alex Ross, the very fine quarterback from Coastal Carolina, will be along in the next hour to talk about his season, their undefeated run. They've got Liberty coming up, a chance to complete an undefeated regular season before they head to the FCS playoffs. And, of course, they're ranked number 1 by the coaches. But back to the M&M boys. All right, Will, you know, when Watson came back last week and he was cleared, ready to go, and Tigers went out and scored 3 points on the first possession. He's moving the ball down the field on the – I guess that was the second possession, moving the ball down on the field. Anyway, look back to normal in Clemson land, and I'm thinking, you know, this being the scenario, I don't think Clemson loses to South Carolina in a couple of weeks, unless the Tigers just go out and just choke because they're so tight and tense over this game. Things have changed now, and we'll talk more about it in detail next Wednesday night. But tonight, looking ahead to that game, with or without Watson, what do you think is going to happen?
That's literally, I could tell you that the pendulum will swing from hard left to hard right, depending on if number 4 plays in the ball game, Phil. You know, you're talking about the difference in Deshaun Watson, who is in, you know, atop of every statistical category in the entire country for all quarterbacks, 20 plays, versus Cole Stout, who had the lowest quarterback rating maybe in NCAA history against Georgia Tech. So it is literally feast to famine, depending on who is in the backfield at quarterback. So, and I hate to boil it down to one player because, you know, trust me, I mean, Corey will tell you, I'll tell you, this is a game that is really dependent on 11 guys working in unison and in harmony, but it's so different the way that we call games. It's so different the way Chad Morris opens the offense. It's so different the way the running backs have pressure taken off of them because of the threat of a running quarterback. It's so different the way wide receivers run routes downfield, the way they cut routes off, the comeback routes, because they know Deshaun's keeping plays alive and can get the ball to them. It's just it's the entire demeanor of the team is different. So if Deshaun Watson is healthy and plays against South Carolina, absolutely, we've got a shot. And I say defense is legit. I mean, they are legitimately one of the best defenses in the country. You know, even holding Georgia Tech to 16 points and almost below their rushing average and doing all the things that they do defensively, the defense is legit enough to go out there and really cause problems for South Carolina. Offensively, if we don't have Deshaun and we're playing Cole or potentially Fusler, I'm sorry. I gotta be honest and say I don't like our chances, and I think the streak continues for the Gamecocks.
All right, Corey, your thoughts on the same question?
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting ball game. I'm with you, Phil. I think a lot of folks, as a matter of fact, I changed the last 3.5, 4 weeks ago watching Clemson and felt like the South Carolina would have a chance just based on their offense. I know they're going up against a heck of a front seven with Clemson. I like their defense. I like Brent Venables. I've always liked Brent Venables. I think he's a great play caller from a defensive perspective. But I'm concerned about their offense. I really am. Even with Deshaun Watson, the fact that if he plays, he comes off 2 injuries, the hand, and now the knee. And is he going to be tentative if he plays? Is he, cautious? And with South Carolina's offense, even though they struggle, like the fact that with their backs, they can still run the ball, which I think if Clemson, stops to run, that South Carolina can throw the football. I really do believe that, especially with the tight ends down the seam. So it's going to be a heck of a football game. And I'm with Will. If Cole Stout plays advantage South Carolina, I think I would almost want to guarantee that as a victory if Cole Stout has to play. I just don't think he's a good player. He makes so many mistakes, and I think he's lost all of his confidence, especially when he's replaced by a freshman. So I still like South Carolina regardless who plays in this ballgame at quarterback for Clemson. I think the streak going to continue. It's so much pressure on Dabo Sweeney to win this game and to get this whole Steve Spurrier out of his head. I just think South Carolina got it going right now, and I think they'll win this game up at Clemson.
All right, guys, we thank you so much. Have a great week, and we'll talk to you next Wednesday nights. Thanksgiving Eve.
Bring up some turkey, Phil. Bring up some turkey.
Yeah, well, you got 3 turkeys sitting here, so we got plenty of turkey in the room.
Hey,
Yeah.
listen, and don't think there's not a lot of people that would like to put you in the deep fryer field. So it's all good.
They've already done it.
All right. Thank you so much for those warm parting words. Will Merritt and Corey Miller, the M&M boys, with us here on Sports Talk. We appreciate their insight. Can't wait to hear from them next Wednesday night to get their real thoughts about the game. And we'll know by then who the Clemson quarterback's going to be.
Maybe. I don't know that they're going to be in a big hurry to say who's
I
starting.
want to ask Will the big question. If you play Deshaun Watson, does he run down the hill? I wouldn't let him run down the hill.
If he doesn't run down the hill, is that a sign that the knee's not sound enough to run down the hill? How's it going to take a hit from a defensive back? All right, tonight's recruiting report is brought to you by South Carolina's Electric Cooperative, sponsors of the 2014 Touchstone Energy Bowl. Hope to see you in Myrtle Beach when some of the state's best high school players go head-to-head, North versus South, December 13th. All right, recruiting-wise, couple of interesting notes. Defensive lineman DJ Jones, East Mississippi, junior college, is going to be heading to the upstate of South Carolina to his home Tuesday for the holiday break. While in the state, he plans to drive down to Columbia for a visit to USC. He said he does not know which day he'll make the visit. He talked with USC recruiter and defensive line coach Deke Adams Monday. Currently committed to Florida State and plans to visit there Saturday for the Boston College game. He will take an official visit to Ole Miss for the Egg Bowl. And he's also considering Alabama and Auburn. He would like to take a visit to Alabama. He's been officially to Auburn and might well. No longer hearing from Clemson, he said, so the Tigers aren't a factor. But USC's been a constant with him throughout the recruiting process, and they've sold him on the fact that they need defensive linemen. But Florida State does remain at the top of his list. He could not rank the others in any particular order. Mid-year signing period for junior college players enrolling in January starts December 17th. He expects to sign within a couple of days after the beginning of the signing period. This season, Jones, with 29 tackles, 4 sacks, 2.5 tackles for loss. His team will play for the Junior College National Championship on December 6th. Meantime, all signs look positive for defensive lineman Dexter Weidman of Saluda and Camden Military to be eligible to enroll at USC in January. This, according to his high school coach. Weidman signed with USC in 2014 but did not fully qualify. He enrolled at Camden Military to improve his overall grades. He appears to have done just that with just a few weeks left in the semester. Stuart Young told us that Young, has been in touch with USC, and the word back to him is positive. He said everybody's good to go. Dexter is excited. Everybody's talking about how much he has improved. He said that's the word he's getting. He should be able to enroll in January. He's made the grades so far. Young said Weidman suffered a dislocated elbow and missed the last half of the season. Junior quarterback Drayton Arnold of Myrtle Beach will visit East Carolina this weekend. The Pirates are showing a lot of interest in him. They have not yet offered. His only offer so far is Ohio. Drayton, his season is over because of a thumb injury. He threw for nearly 3,000 yards and 37 touchdowns this season. Clemson's been showing him some interest along with Duke and Wake Forest. He visited Clemson earlier this season. And in baseball, junior right-hander Colby Lee of Latta committed to USC this week, home of champions. His teammate, right-hander J.K. Love, signed this week with the College of Charleston. J.K. Love, you know what his father's nickname is?
This Love.
Lump Love.
Okay.
Old friend of mine.
Whole lot of love.
Top of the hour break. We'll be back.
Very Latin name.
Live from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
Okay, we're back with you here on Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. Good to have you with us. A busy hour is ahead. We'll go over these rankings for high school basketball upcoming. Alex Ross coming up, Coastal Carolina quarterback. We'll hear from some of the Gamecocks today, Mike Davis, Dylan Thompson, and we'll hear from Dabo Sweeney too. One more recruiting note on Clemson. This came down just a few moments ago after we wrapped up our recruiting report. Juwan Briscoe, one of Clemson's long-time commitments, a talented receiver, defensive back. He announces on Twitter he is decommitting from Clemson. He said, "I thank everyone for all the love, but I'm officially decommitting from Clemson. I am truly grateful for the opportunity Clemson University fans, coaching staff, especially Coach Sweeney, have granted me. With the support of my family, I have decided to decommit from Clemson University." Now, this had been talked about in recruiting circles for a little while because he was taking some other official visits. Ohio State in particular has made a strong push for him. So it shouldn't be a huge surprise to anybody that's been following the recruiting process. He's from Maryland, I believe. Okay. Let me look him up real quick. I believe he's from Maryland. So, this is not the kind of news you like to have. Of course, you don't want a lot that you've had committed for a long time. What happens, of course, you get a guy committed, you hang on to him, you have him slotted in a position, and you pass on other people for that position. Then he ups and goes somewhere else. He's from Waldorf, Maryland, defensive back, 6 feet, 185. Also played a lot of running back in high school. Just a good athlete.
Maryland after him, too?
Ohio State, Penn State, Oklahoma. Those are the ones most recently to jump in there. Really, Ohio State and Penn State, I think, have done more to turn his head than anybody.
Interesting to see. I was just interested if he's interested in the home state school because I want to see if Maryland starts recruits because they're sitting now in the Big Ten.
Well, I would think so, but he hasn't really talked much about Maryland. So this decommitment leaves Clemson with 23 in this recruiting class, over half of which plan to enroll at midterm, I believe. They got a bunch of them coming in at midterm. And in the secondary, you delete Juwan Briscoe from the secondary. That leaves you Caleb Chalmers, Van Smith, Tanner Muse. Now, Tanner Muse is also a bit up in the air. I mean, he's committed firmly to Clemson, but he's also a professional baseball prospect. And should he have a big baseball season, he could see his stock in the draft go up. He could be an early draft pick, and he may have a decision to make about going to professional baseball versus going to college for football.
Don't let him look at Giancarlo Stanton's contract then. It may draw him to go to baseball.
And, historically, not just Clemson but other places, the big money of baseball tends to lure these guys over going to college because they realize if they flame out in baseball, they can go back to college in a couple of years. All right, I tried this earlier in the season, and I was proven erroneous. But now I think I am correct in saying this. There is one undefeated team left in the state of South Carolina. Is that correct? There is one undefeated team left in the state. When I said that before, I'd forgotten about Charleston Southern at the time, thinking of Coastal Carolina and Charleston Southern. And Coach Moglia correctly corrected me at that time. And so now we can say without any hesitation that there is only one undefeated team in the state. It is Coastal Carolina. They will go for a perfect regular season and another Big South championship outright this Saturday against Liberty. And we are joined by the fine quarterback, a junior for the Chanticleers, Alex Ross, who is having a sensational season. Alex, how you doing, man?
Good. How you doing tonight?
We're doing great. We're doing great. Undefeated season. How does that sound ringing in your ears?
It sounds great. It's something that we definitely take pride in.
Why has it all come together? I mean, you guys were really good last year, and you won some playoff games. This year, you seem even better. Why has it all come together this year?
Yes, sir. I think it's a mesh of the coaches and the players that we have here. The coaches have been here this is their third year, I believe, and we're just starting now to learn the system and to really understand the system. And the players are really starting to understand the system, and we're just starting to flow together as a team, as an offense, as a defense, and special teams. We're playing well in all three phases of the game.
Is it a complex offensive system to learn?
No, sir, it's not complex at all. It's very simple to learn.
I mean, what are some of the key things from a quarterback perspective then that you have to grasp to excel in this offense?
Well, to excel in this offense, I believe that you have to have a good quarterback, someone who can be able to read the defense, who can be able to make the right check you in and out of things that are necessary depending on what the defensive looks are, whether they're bringing a blitz or whether they're dropping everyone back. Just having a good understanding and a good grasp of the game.
Mm-hmm. Do you find yourself doing a lot of checking out of plays during a game? Do they give you the freedom even to suggest some plays on your own?
Yes, sir. I have the freedom to do whatever I want depending on what I see out there. So I'll make a few checks a game. I'll say about 3 to 4 checks a game, depending on the look the defense gives me. If they're going to blitz and play cover zero, we'll try and take some shots down the field or get the ball out quick. Or if they're going to drop everyone back, we're going to make some reads, call some read plays, and get the ball in the running back's hand.
We're talking with Alex Ross, quarterback at undefeated Coastal Carolina, ranked number 1 by the coaches and number 2 in the other FCS ranking. How does that sit with you guys being ranked number 1 in at least one of the major FCS polls?
Well, it's definitely an accomplishment, but that's not something that we're focused on week in, week out. Week in, week out, we're focused on just taking care of business for the particular week. Like this week, we have Liberty coming up, and number 1 doesn't mean anything if we lose to Liberty this week. So what we focus on is taking care of business this week, and if we do that on a weekly basis, everything else is going to take care of itself.
I know you're talking one game at a time, but you have to be entertaining in the back of your mind. If you continue your success heading into the playoffs, you can make maybe a Montana or a New Hampshire or North Dakota State come south rather than you have to go up into what kind of winter weather you don't know. I know they play inside North Dakota State, but you would rather avoid the snow, I know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, last year we got to travel out to Montana and out to North Dakota, and that was definitely fun. And it was fun playing in -3-degree weather. But home field advantage is definitely there. In North Dakota and Montana, they definitely have home field advantage when they get to play at their place. So going into the playoffs this year, if we go in undefeated, having home field advantage is going to be a big plus for us.
You know, you guys lost some good offensive people from last year, and you know, Taliaferro is, I think he's still with the Ravens, or he was with the Ravens earlier in the year. He was a terrific running back. Okay, but what about D'Angelo Henderson out of Summerville and the year he had for you? Over 1,200 yards, 17 touchdowns rushing, and he's been very good receiving the ball, 27 catches, averaging about 18 yards. Averaging about 9 yards a catch and a touchdown. How big has he been in filling the gap that was left?
Oh, he's been huge. He's a phenomenal running back. The thing about Lorenzo and him is they're two different types of backs. Lorenzo is more of a guy who you're going to send up the middle, and he's going to try and run over three guys in one play. And D'Angelo, he's gonna make a juke, and he's going to get to the outside, and he's definitely exciting to watch. But they are two different types of backs, and being able to get D'Angelo in open space is key for us, and he's done a great job this year doing that.
What's it like playing for Coach Moglia?
Oh, it's fun. Coach Moglia is a guy who he wants you to take care of business. And on the field, he focuses on life after football and stuff off the field. So Coach Moglia, I don't know how many other coaches in the United States teach you how to invest money and teach you how to do those kinds of things. So Coach Moglia is definitely a great coach to be under.
Is his mood affected more by the stock market or by wins and losses?
I think during football season, it's wins and losses, but maybe in the off season, it's the stock market.
You want him smiling as much as possible. That usually means good things are going on. What is looking at Liberty? What's your biggest concern about their defense?
Well, they got a great defensive line, and they're really able to rush the quarterback. So for me, the biggest thing that I need to be able to do this week is to be able to see the looks that they're giving me and be able to slide the protection the right way and protect myself, be able to stand up in the pocket and deliver the ball.
Can you share with us what it's like right now around Coastal Carolina for this football program? You guys are playing to sellout crowds every game now. I think the energy, the excitement around this program is maybe at an all-time high, or maybe going back to when they first tasted success under Coach Bennett. But what's it like now, being a part of this program on that campus?
It's different now. There's a lot more buzz going around with the students and on campus with the teachers and the faculty and staff. But that's something that we leave to them. We let them talk about it, and we let them, boast about it. But that's not something as a team that we're really talking about much, and we're really focusing on. We're just focusing on that next game, going 1-0 each week, and then everything else will take care of itself. And as a team, I feel like we've done a good job of not letting our minds get too big, not getting a big head about being number one in the country. So we've really been focused, and we've really kept a straight and narrow path throughout this season.
All right. You feel like you guys have a good chance to win it all?
Well, right now we're just going to focus on Liberty, but when the playoffs come, we'll talk about that a little bit later.
You're going to be a coach in your next life, huh?
I don't know. I haven't figured that out yet. I'm still trying to figure that out. I'm wrapping up my business management major right now, and I'm going to start a master's in the spring, MBA program. So I'll leave here with a MBA in business and a degree in business. So we'll see where that goes after I'm all said and done.
All right, but I'm saying you got the coach speak down pat, one game at a time, not looking ahead and focusing on the next opponent. You got that down pat. So
you get college credit for being under Coach Moglia?
I wish. That would be nice.
Alex, listen, man, great to have you with us here tonight on Sports Talk Around the State, and good luck this week, and then we look forward to following you guys as you go through your postseason run. Hope it's a long one.
I appreciate it. It was nice talking to you.
You too, man. Thank you so much. All right, Alex Ross, and he is, maybe the reason that they're as good as they are, because he's a special quarterback. His numbers are off the charts this year. He has another year to go at Coastal. He'll set all kind of career records there. But just, we talk about Dylan Thompson, Deshaun Watson. Well, this guy, Alex Ross, 2,850 yards, 18 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, 67% completion, and he's rushed for 560 yards and 6 touchdowns. So
that's strong.
Very, very good season. No doubt he'll be an FCS All-American this year. Thanks to Alex Ross. We'll be back in a moment. Once again, our thanks to Alex Ross for being with us here on Sports Talk as we hear from some of the most important people in sports here in South Carolina on a nightly basis, brought to you by the South Carolina soybean farmers and their checkoff. Learn more at scsoybeans.org. Pork powered by soy. All right, let's do the high school report for tonight. We're going to switch from football to basketball, brought to you by South Carolina Farm Bureau Insurance. Today, they had the annual preseason basketball banquet in Columbia. And your rankings in boys basketball in 4A. It's Wando, Spring Valley, Hillcrest, Dorman, Sumter, Irmo, Northwestern, TL Hanna, Goose Creek, and White Knoll. In 3A boys, the top 10, AC Flora, Dreer, Darlington, South Point, Orangeburg, Wilkinson, Southside, Airport, Midland Valley, Seneca, and Wilson. In 2A, Keenan, followed by Chester, Lake Marion, Battery Creek, and Mullins, then Ridgeland, Hardyville, Columbia, Timberland, Whale Branch, and Carolina. And in 1A, it's Hemingway, followed by Southside Christian, Denmark, Oler, Burke, C.A. Johnson, Hannah Pamplico, Great Falls, Fox Creek, C.E. Murray, and Dixie. Your elite boys for all classes from around the state: Jordan Bruner of Spring Valley, P.J. Dozier of Spring Valley, Jalick Felton of Mullins, yes, that is Raymond's nephew, Tevin Mack of Dreer, and Matt Pegram from Wando. On the ladies' side, 4A, Dutch Fork, Dorman, Spring Valley, Greenwood, Irmo, Goose Creek, West Florence, Spartanburg, Northwestern, and Somerville. 3A, Orangeburg, Wilkinson, followed by Crestwood, Union County, Daniel Wilson, Southside, Hilton Head, Myrtle Beach, Belton, Honeypath, and Aiken. 2A girls, Mullins, Bishop England, Dillon, Kingstree, Keenan, Newberry, Columbia, Lee Central, Andrew Jackson, and Pendleton. 1A girls, St. Carver's Bay, the mighty Vikingettes of Latta, Christchurch, Hemingway, Ridge Spring, Monetta, Baptist Hill, Timmonsville, Lamar, and Wagner Sally. Your elite girls around the state: DeJoria Howard of Orangeburg, Wilkinson, Tiana Swearinger of Greenwood. Any kin to DJ?
I was told that's his sister.
Huh. Jayla Lassane of Mullins, Shayla Bennett of Christchurch, and Justice G from Timmonsville. Those are the elite girls from around the state. And there you go, preseason rankings and top players from around the state. You were there at the luncheon today.
I was.
Yeah.
And they did a very fine job putting that thing together. And it's nice to see just a deep crop of talent in our state. And there's some really good, traditional powers in Columbia that are strong again. AC Flora, the defending state champs, they have a new coach, but Zach Norris over at Keenan has another strong program, preseason #1, but really good looking players. I mean, we all know about the Tevin Macks and the PJ Doziers, but there's a lot of really good looking boys and girls basketball players that are going to be running around this winter. Yeah, 7th wasn't there. It was just senior kids, but there's a lot of good players in our state.
And it's also just a high school league too, isn't it? Doesn't include Skeeza.
No.
It's just high school league kids. We'll be back. We're going to hear from some of the Gamecocks and Dabo Sweeney coming up. All right, I tried this earlier in the.
Probably where I'm at. Things of that matter.
The draft advisory committee only ranks first round and second round.
All right, let's get to what some of the Gamecocks were saying after their practice today. They're getting ready for South Alabama, of course. But I'm sure as a player, they've got part of their cerebellum focused on Clemson, knowing how big that game is right around the corner. Mike Davis among the Gamecocks to talk with the media today. Of course, he is going to be honored with the seniors on Saturday, and the speculation will be very heavy for him leaving early for the NFL draft, and he was asked about that today. He was asked about where he is in his thinking process and how he is going to go about making that decision.
I'm not going on what other folks are telling me. I rather want to hear from someone in the NFL or, go based off of, the things my brother did and having him been behind me.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you, how much you're going to lean on him, because he had to make this decision not too long ago.
He's been a big factor in a lot of things and a lot of decisions that I've made. So, of course, him coming back his senior year end up hurting his draft status or whatever. So, I'm talking to my brother, hearing things from him.
You notice a lot of the guys who left earlier running back end up not getting drafted on practice squad and things like that. Now, did you notice that? And I guess how's that factor into your decision?
I haven't noticed it. I haven't, really paid it no mind. Of course, I watched the draft. I seen like 5 running backs get drafted in the second round. So, I haven't really paid attention to the ones that's on practice squad.
Are you aware, Mike, of how much time you're going to have? I mean, as soon as a deadline at some point, why would you have to make a decision or declare yourself or anything like that? Have you gotten to looking at all that yet, or?
Not at all. I didn't even know there was a deadline that I'd had to, to tell people that I would be declaring, but. I don't know. I don't know when the deadline is.
You sound like a guy who's made up his mind, who's going.
Like I said, it's possible I've made up my mind, but I don't know. Anything can happen.
You and Todd Gurley, I know, are buddies. Does what happened to him go into the decision-making process?
It goes into it a lot. It depends on, like I said, where they have me at on the board and where I'm listed, what the scouts think, am I a first round, second round grade, things like that factor in, not people outside of that.
All right, that's Mike Davis. Now, USC quarterback Dylan Thompson, he does not have a decision to make. He's a senior, so he'll be walking as he should be on senior day as a senior. Personally, I think I'm no expert on analyzing quarterbacks, but just watching him, I think he'll get a shot somewhere. To get in a camp and show what he can do with his arm, with his height, his size. He runs okay. He seems to handle himself well in the pocket. Anyway, I think he's got a lot of positives, and perhaps he's impressed some people this year. We shall see in due time. So anyway, Thompson getting ready for South Alabama. That's first and foremost on his mind, and he realizes he can leave South Carolina with a bit of a legend if he can win these next 2 and then win a bowl game. That'll be 8 wins. He will likely set all kinds of single-season records throwing the football if that's the case. So he still has some things that he can do to put a shine on his 1 year as a starting quarterback at South Carolina. He talked today about the approach to South Alabama offensively, what they want to do, and how he plans on leading the offense.
Just come out and play hard and play fast and give the home crowd a good show, because we haven't done that the past few times at home.
Are you aware you've got some potential records on the table in terms of touchdowns and season passing yards and things like that?
I mean, obviously people say stuff, but I mean, it really don't mean that much. I'd rather us win these last 3 games and get ready to finish strong. That's really the most important thing. I think everybody cares more about winning than do stats. And that's what we'll try to do.
I figure you know Todd because he's around all the time doing the radio. Do you know Tannehill at all? Do y'all have any kind of relationship? Or
I've met him a few times. Okay. I don't know him great.
How big was talking about wanting to go out winning? How big was that win against Florida, and especially the way you guys won it, because you guys had lost some games kind of that way?
Yeah, it was big win for us on the road in conference. Road wins in the SEC are tough, and we got one, and that was a really big game for us, and we just want to move on and come and get a win this Saturday. Moving on from previous accomplishment and just trying to play the best we can Saturday.
Have you given any thought to what it'd be like playing your last game in Williams-Brice?
I thought about it a little bit. It's crazy. It goes by fast. The guys sit here every year and tell you how fast it goes by, your career here, and it's true. You don't really believe it when you're younger, but when it gets to this point, it's like, wow, you look back and everything flies by.
All right, Dylan Thompson, he'll try and go out and have a big game Saturday. They need a big game early because this is an opportunity to get Connor Mitch some work. They need to get him out there. He is really the number 2 quarterback. Need to get him out there and get him some snaps, a good quarter of work for him at the very least, and see what he can do in front of the home crowd. So we'll see how it goes for all them on Saturday. Now, a little bit more on Juwan Briscoe. Paul Strelo from Tiger Illustrated, and this is predictable. This is so predictable that I predicted it. Did I not predict it? It's so predictable that I predicted it.
Mm-hmm.
Dabo using the selective use of his policy, quote unquote policy, about players taking other visits and then not keeping their offers from Clemson. It's not really, I hate to use the word policy because typically policy covers all events that it's referring to. But this is more of a selective pick and choose sort of deal when it comes to Sweeney and his commitments. He tells them you can't take other visits if you commit to us or we will pull your scholarship. Yet, the most elite of the commitments who do go and visit other schools don't have their scholarships jerked. Well, according to Strelo, Clemson dropped Briscoe from the commitment list, ending its pursuit in light of his Ohio State official visit and his continued interest in other schools. So
you think if this kid was still dead set on Clemson, if they wouldn't, like if he called up and said, I had a change of heart.
The scholarship offer from Robert Kimdichie, for example, until he decommitted. They haven't pulled. Now, I know that Ray McLeod hasn't taken any other official visits, but he's been to Florida a couple of times since committing. And some of their other more elite players have visited other schools without the threat of losing. I'm just saying, don't call it a policy if you don't apply it across the board. It's not a policy. And this is not something I'm making up. Dabo has gone on record as saying he has a policy about this, but it's very selective in choosing who he enforces the policy against. And in this case, this kid, and apparently South Carolina is one of the schools he is now looking at. It says Paul Rice at South Carolina has entered the picture as well, and Briscoe has interest in South Carolina. So we shall see what happens. But Ohio State and Penn State have been the two other strong interests for him since he committed to Clemson. See, the kid committed early. He committed back in May, and he wanted to take a look at some other places since he committed so early. But, they went ahead and pulled the according to this report, they pulled the offer. But again, that was so predictable that I actually predicted that in our conversations a little while ago. All right. What else we have for you? The All South Atlantic Conference football team announced today. And let's see, from Newberry on the offensive side, from Newberry on the offense, Newberry offense, nobody on the first team offense. Is that right? Nobody on first team offense. First team defense from Newberry. They have defensive lineman Alstevus Squirewell and linebackers Edmund Robinson and Taylor McDonald. Defensive back Sharon Irwin and punter Kyle Clark. Second team offense, offensive lineman Stephen Nance and long snapper Andrew Smith. Second team defense, defensive back Arnez Gray. The coach of the year this year in the South Atlantic Conference is Ian Shields from Lenoir-Rhyne. Jacobs blocking trophy to Joe Ray of Lenoir-Rhyne. So there you go with that. Dustin Johnson, already a rich man, has sold his Florida home for $5.2 million, according to the LA Times. So what's $5.2 million to a man that makes twice that in a year, practically? Golf Digest is reporting that he's looking at the Farmers Insurance Open for his return. And so we'll have Dustin Johnson back on tour before too long, and he'll be a dad because Paulina is expecting their first child right around that time. All right, we've heard from some of the Gamecocks tonight. Of course, on Wednesday night, Dabo Swinney has his last meeting with the media after the Tigers practice. He did that a little while ago. And, of course, the first thing on everyone's mind, not about the stuff about Florida. It's about something more important. That is the knee of Deshaun Watson, how he's feeling, how he's progressing. Will he play against the Gamecocks? Here's the update.
Still don't think he can play this week, but he is a day better. Beasley was back out there today. A couple guys banged up from the game the other day, kind of got back in, got a little more action today. But yeah, we're ready to go. Ready to go. It's amazing, man. Just, it's been sometimes the days are just so long, but some of these weeks just fly by for whatever reason. And it's hard to believe we're already at Thursday tomorrow, but we're excited about getting back out on the field. See if we can play better and kind of get our momentum back going and confidence back going in the right direction.
How's Cole responded this week?
He's had a good week. He's just like I knew he would. He's right back to work, and so hopefully he'll play a great game Saturday.
Last week it felt like everybody had turned the page to Deshaun, Chad, everybody. Do you think Cole might have?
Well, I think that can be a a natural thing for young people. All of a sudden you only won 4 games, you're the offensive MVP, feel like you're playing pretty good. But that's just kind of the nature of it at any level. The starter comes back, he's back in, you go, and you gotta be ready to go. And I don't know. All I know is we didn't have a good game Saturday. And, we're gonna play better this week. That's our expectation, and everybody's got to do their part. Everybody's got to do their part to not just one player to play better offensively, especially.
Would you rather hold David Beasley if you could?
He wants to play, and we'll see how it is. I don't know how much we'll play him, but he wants to play. It's just one of those things that again, he's gotten better and better and better and better. We'll see how he is on Saturday, what kind of juice he's got going, but which will determine how much he plays.
Watson or him.
But we need our best guys out there because again, we really need to get that confidence and chemistry and continuity, where we need it to be.
Watson or him, Beasley, are either one of them running, jogging, or anything like that?
Watson's doing all the underwater treadmill stuff from a running standpoint. He's doing some rehab stuff out here. But most of his running right now is on the treadmill. Not putting a ton of stress on him right now. He's doing good. Basically practicing stuff. So he's out there.
Is he in yellow, green, or what?
He's green. He's been green.
This will be the last time we talk to you before Saturday night, which will then become South Carolina week. How have guys is it hard for them to handle just focus on the task at hand and not worry about that last game?
No, I don't think so. I think that they just want to go play. We've got a bunch of really good competitors on this team that, again, they're going for their 40th win Saturday. So 40 wins in 4 years for all these seniors. And for the guys that most of these guys, they don't know anything but winning. And when we do lose one, it's not something that we just, say, oh, well, heck, we lost. Ain't nobody happy. And, the fun is definitely in the winning. And so they want to go play again. Everybody knows, next week is kind of its own deal. We just want to get back out there and play a good football game and move on from last week as far as, feeling better about how we played the game in certain spots.
Listen to the radio coming in. They're talking about a report that says you're interested in Florida.
Okay. Well, what was that?
I think it's one of the Clemson.
Ain't nobody talked to me to get no type of report. So we're not even gonna acknowledge that kind of stuff. This is, y'all know I love Clemson. I love my job. I love my players. We're not talking about assistant coaches. We're trying to finish a great season. That's what we're trying to do. Have a great finish. Trying to put together, hopefully, the best recruiting class we've ever had. We'll see how it all pans out, but that's what our focus is.
Yeah, next head coach at Clemson next year is going to have a heck of a recruiting class.
What was that?
Well, you got Clemson websites reporting he's a leading candidate for the Florida job. I'm just jumping in line with what the insiders report. When insiders report something, you better take it to the bank, like torn ACLs and things of that nature.
Well, I'll officially make since they're about to win their second SEC East. Why isn't Gary Pinkel a candidate? I guess he's too old.
Good question. I don't know. He maybe doesn't have that charismatic appeal some of these other guys
Doesn't quite have the chest.
Into the mailbag we go here on Sports Talk. See what some of the folks have written into us about. This is from Joe T. commenting on the post. Spurrier says no Florida interest, but won't discuss his USC future. And he writes, the media, mostly state writers and ESPN talking hairdos, have always been obsessed with Spurrier's timeline for retirement. When talking about him retiring got old, they switched to another school. I think they are convinced that if they keep bringing it up, that it will hurt recruiting, and it will probably can in some cases. When is the talk of Dabo losing his job if Spurrier spanks him yet again going to start? Are you going to have a poll on this site asking the question, or is that verboten? What does verboten mean, Pro?
It's prohibited. Prohibited.
Did I say it right? Verboten or verboten?
Verboten.
Verboten.
You never seen any movies with the Gestapo?
I try not to watch anything with the Gestapo.
Okay.
First of all, Spurrier, he created this furor. I don't want to call it a furor. He created the line of questioning by saying, when asked, not giving a definite answer, by saying he plans to be back. Plans means, yes, I'm planning on it, but there's a big, in capital letters, B-U-T-T. If you want to put an extra T on there.
Oh, okay.
There's in big letters.
A different word altogether.
But after that. So he's left the door open for speculation and questions. And that's our job, to ask the questions. And I think it should be asked any chance you get in the proper setting until he gives a definite answer, because the fans have a right to know.
Well,
that's what we do.
You want a definite answer, call one of the recruits and see what he said to them.
All right, here's another one on the same story. This is from Tom. The fact that Spurrier ignored the question means nothing. If and when he decides to quit coaching, he has a job at USC as a special advisor to the AD and the president. He has a $4 million a year deal through 2018. So quit asking him about the Florida job. He already told you. Quit asking him about leaving. Print some real news. Again, Just what I said a moment ago applies there as well. This is from this is about fourth quarter recap and Watson injury, this is from Not So Fast. Maybe Phil K-Mac and that jerk from Vegas should realize Clemson is not that good. They have been living on the edge. Dumbo, your team is not a championship team. Keep playing in the weak ACC, and you'll get your wins against Power Puff teams. I think he means Powder Puff. Boo-hoo, LOL.
Okay.
Lol.
Good one to finish with.
Lol.
All right. Any final thoughts, K-Mac?
Go Sixers. I think they're going to beat the Celtics tonight and get their first win of the season.
Let's hope not. I hope that we're trailing in the fourth quarter instead of leading, and we can't blow another lead. Pro, final thoughts.
Jeff Taylor suspended 24 games for pleading guilty to domestic violence for the Hornets, Dave.
All right. On that cheery note, State Man, have a great night. Thank you, Pro. Thank you, K-Mac. We'll see you tomorrow night here on Sports Talk.